Hello, good evening. It's Philip Carr-Gomm here. Do say when you arrive in the forest clearing. So, the idea of these gatherings is that we imagine we're gathering together in a forest clearing. So do type in where you're from. And this gradually helps us to get a sense of this network of people all around the world who are gathering together. Marjolein, every time I mention your name, Marjolein, in the office, Annie, who's Belgian, corrects my pronunciation of your name, and I still get it wrong. Marjolein. Karen, that's an easier name to pronounce. Saga from Denmark. How wonderful! How fantastic to have a name like that. Julie, D from Scotland. I wonder if you're named after the River Dee. That'd be fantastic. Vivian von Benedict. Fantastic. Terry Stewart Hackler from Calistoga. Great. So do type in where you're from, so we get a real sense of where. This evening, I'm going to talk about something relevant to the Northern Hemisphere. So if you're down in the Southern Hemisphere, my apologies, but the year comes around very quickly, as you know, and so what I'm saying will be relevant very soon, in 6 months for you. The interesting thing as well is there are always echoes. When you look at the wheel of the year, at whatever time you're in, there's always an echo. So if I'm talking about Samhain, there's an echo of Samhain in Beltane, and there's an echo of the winter solstice and the summer solstice, and so on. So it's not entirely out of tune for where you are. But what I wanted to share with you and explore with you today really was this time we're in. Where I am in England, the weather has really turned. We've gone into winter now. It's been this lovely, lovely autumn and up until now. And it's been really sunny and really quite warm. And then just a few days ago, there was this turn, this shift. And tuning into the garden outside, the weather, and what I was going to talk about with you this evening, I became very aware of this period that we're in. If you think about it, we're about halfway between Samhain and Olbanathan. Samhain is the time that begins around, say, 31st of October to the 2nd of November, those few days. I mean, in some ways, the period, people say the period of Samhain goes on for, at least a month. I mean, people say, particularly in Ireland, for instance. And that relates to what I'm going to talk about, because really this period that carries on, it's a very particular period from a Druidic point of view. Because you see, it's lovely to see everybody coming in still. Guildford and New Jersey and New Zealand. Adie from New Zealand, great. And a French person in Sidmouth, fantastic. And Santa Monica in California, great. Okay, so this time of year, because the eightfold wheel of the year is such a powerful model for us, and we think of the times of the equinoxes and the solstices and the Celtic fire festivals. So such strong times. And we ask ourselves, what should we do? What sort of ritual or celebration should we have for this time? What does it mean for us? How can we tune in? All the rest of it. It's easy for us to forget the gaps in between. But it's actually the periods in between that are also very, very interesting and worth contemplating. So we have this period that we're halfway through. It started at the beginning of November, and it goes through to the winter solstice in about 4 weeks' time. So it's about 7 weeks, and we're about 3 weeks into this, moving halfway. So it's a liminal time, and here it'll be different from wherever you are, but here we've definitely crossed the threshold from autumn to winter just in the last few days. And what comes to me is that the time of Samhain is very well illustrated by this card in the Druid Animal Oracle, which is the crane. And this is the bird, the old classic story of the bird that brings the baby It's also the bird that takes the soul to the other world. So it's the bird it's the totem animal, it's the spirit animal that travels between worlds. And the other world is depicted there in the cave. You see the entrance to the cave there. And Samhain is, of course, the time when we honor the ancestors, and our minds are drawn to the other world, and the drawing in of the days, the darkening of the days, the shortening of the days helps us to turn our minds to that too. Last night I was singing in such a moving concert that we had in town to mark the end of the First World War, the centenary of the end of the First World War. And we had, violinist playing the Lark Ascending, and I was in a choir where we were singing "It's a Long Way to Tipperary," and all those kinds of things. It was very touching and moving, and absolutely fitting for this time of year. And in this season, between the two festivals, at the end of this season, we have the bear symbolizing Olban Arthan there. And you see he's coming out of the cave. The stork is going to, or the crane will draw us into the other world. The bear is coming out. The winter solstice has begun, has occurred, and the days are starting to increase again in length, and he's coming out from his hibernation with that sense of sovereignty there, with the scepter and the little crown down in the corner. And so this typifies, if you like, or symbolizes the fact that we're in a period of time which is perfect for contemplation and perfect for allowing ourselves to feel disoriented, even to go into no time. In the Druid ceremony of Samhain, we talk about 3 days of no time. And the ceremony itself kind of is designed to encapsulate those 3 days just in the ceremony that you perform, either with a group or on your own, that you enter into a timeless period. Because, of course, we all know that our sense of time and linear time is conditioned by the physical world we find ourselves in. But when we go out of our bodies or disincarnate, time is experienced differently, and that's the time of Samhain. And Olban Arthan, the winter solstice, is the time of rebirth, the time of incarnation, the time of beginning. Samhain is the time of endings, and so this is the gap between the two, just perfect. And now we're approaching the gap in the gap. So if the gap between Samhain and Olban Arthan is a 7-week period of no time, of liminal time, then around the middle of it, as what we're approaching now in this coming week, is the gap in the gap. So a wonderful opportunity to meditate, to loosen perhaps our preoccupations with day-to-day concerns, and to really go deep. So if you're feeling a little disoriented, feeling even a little lost or not quite sure where you're going, that's absolutely fine. Just allow yourself to be in that space, because things will change in about a month's time. The winter solstice will come, and then a new cycle will begin. The new year will really begin then. And so I asked for an animal to typify this time of no time, this time that we're approaching now. And this is the one I got. The owl, Cailleach-Oidche in Gaelic, one of the many Gaelic names for the owl, the white woman of the night, the barn owl. And I thought it would be nice if we paid our respects to the owl and sat in quiet communion with Cailleach-Oidche in the sacred grove. And so let's let's do a meditation now. Let's go into meditation and just allow ourselves to slip in to a deeper sense of this time of no time. Here we are gathered together all over the world. And there's a way in which, although we're physically far apart, from as far away as New Zealand, somehow we're together in the sacred grove. And so you can either listen to this now or follow it now, or if you prefer, just listen and then actually go into the meditation later if you feel like it, if you like what you hear. So you might want to close your eyes to better concentrate on yourself, although you don't have to, and become aware of sounds far away, sounds closer to hand, like perhaps the sound is coming out of the speaker on your tablet or computer. And then become aware of any sounds you might be hearing within your own body. And just gradually allow yourself to become aware of being seated in a clearing in the forest. You become aware of the ground beneath you. You sense the stability of the ground, and just notice, first of all, whether you're sitting down in this sacred grove or whether you're standing up. You could be lying down, you could be in any position. So just get a sense of your position in the grove. And then get a sense of the earth beneath you. Maybe you can smell the earth, the smell of the leaves and the earth. And just tune in for a moment with the earth, all that life in the earth. And you feel it supporting you. And it just accepts all the tensions that just drift away from you. Just supporting you, making you feel stable. You sense all the life in the earth, all the creatures, the minerals, the soil, and the energy of the earth flows up into your being. And you become aware of the trees now, the way the trees near to you, just behind you and around you, are part of a great forest. And you feel safe and protected here, breathing in the energy of the trees, feeling the protection of your brothers and sisters, the trees. And as you breathe in the energy of the trees. And you look up into the sky. You see it's the night sky, with the moon just starting to rise so that you can see it. And stars too. And the moonlight is silvery. And you breathe in the energy of this moonlight and starlight. You breathe in the energy of the sky. And the energy of the sky meets the energy of the earth within the center of your being. And then, as you sit quietly in the grove, you become aware of a presence. You sense that there's a bird, a creature somewhere in the branches up above. And perhaps you just know that Cailleach-Oidche, the owl, is sitting there. Or perhaps you can see her caught in moonlight. And let's just take a few moments just to be quietly with the owl, to be open to the energy of the owl, the being of the owl, just quietly together. And perhaps as you sit here in the clearing with the owl, you find yourself tuning into the energy of the owl, perhaps even becoming for a moment, merging with the owl. And sense the gift that the owl brings to you. Sense its quality of being that can also exist in you. And now, if you've identified with the owl, if you've merged with the owl, gradually separate. Give your thanks to the owl. Give your thanks to this creature for the feeling that it has gifted you with. And perhaps you hear it calling into the night now. And knowing that you can return at any time to this special place, to spend time sitting with the owl, learning their wisdom, learning from them. Just sense yourself placing your hand on the earth and sending your love to the earth, to the trees, to all of nature. A blessing on the land, a blessing on our lives. And then gradually allow your awareness of the sacred grove to fade as you become aware of being seated here in front of your computer or your tablet on this Monday evening, looking at the screen, looking at your phone. So Iselinda in Portugal is saying the dawns and the dusks are magical each day. And there are these liminal times as well. The dawn and the dusk is a liminal time. You know, liminal is a word that comes from the Latin that means a threshold. Limen means a threshold. Dawn and dusk are these two times. They're not quite day, not quite night. And this is exactly the time we're entering into now between Samhain and Olbanathan. And it's a time that once we realize that, we can take advantage of it. Lisa is saying, I crave no time. And there's a way in which it's easier at this time of year to drop into that sense of no time, even if it's just for a moment, even if it's just as we go to sleep or just when we take a few moments rest and go inside. And so have a wonderful week. And next week, Penny Billington is going to be working with you, talking with you. And then the week after that, I think it's going to be Ema. I've got it in my calendar somewhere, but anyway, there are going to be guests, and there's going to be me, and I look forward to seeing you again when I see you again, whenever that is. But in the meantime, I'm now going to go down into the library, because those who are students in the Lessons in Magic course, we have a meeting at 8:30, and we have a sort of extended meditation too there. So I have a little break. I take a drink from my teacup, and then I adjourn to the library downstairs for another session. So it's been lovely to see you, and it's lovely to see people, from all over the world. There's Roberta from Bari in Italy. The Owl Pages Woman and the Owl Foundation. I think that's a book. But yeah, thank you, Lisa. There's a link on your comment, so I'll click on it later, and I'll read the comments too. So have a lovely evening, and the owl is a lovely bird to meditate with as you drift into sleep too. So many blessings, and much love, and see you soon. Okay, and have a wonderful week in the meanwhile. Okay, bye.